3 million people in the UK are currently sitting on the wrong tax code. It's not usually because they've done anything wrong, HMRC just assumes. And when it assumes, you're the one who ends up paying for it. Worth walking through exactly how this works. Because once it clicks, it's hard to unnotice. Everyone working in the UK gets assigned a tax code, and that code tells your employer how much you can earn before any tax gets taken out. Most people are on 1257L, which means the first £12,570 you earn in a year is tax-free. Straightforward enough on paper. The trouble starts because HMRC doesn't always have up-to-date information about your situation. You might have switched jobs. You might have had a company car for a couple of months last year that HMRC still thinks you're driving. A bonus might have bumped you into a higher bracket for 1 month, and the system assumed that was your new normal going forward. Or you could be sitting on an emergency tax code without even realizing what that means. An emergency code, something like 1257LW1 or M1, taxes you month by month rather than looking at your earnings across the year. Start a job in July, and an emergency code treats you as if you'd been earning since April, which means you miss out on months of tax-free allowance you were actually entitled to. That can add up to a few £100 gone, and most people never think to check. Then there's the personal allowance itself, which doesn't quite work the way most people assume. You hear £12,570 tax-free and take it at face value. No tax on your first 12.5 grand. Simple, that's true up to a point. But once your income goes past £100,000, the allowance starts shrinking. For every £2 you earn above that threshold, you lose £1 of it, and by £125,140, it's gone entirely. In practice, that means earning between £100,000 and £125,140 feels like it should be a win. But your effective tax rate across that band works out closer to 60%, not the 40% you'd expect. Because you're paying the standard higher rate and losing your allowance at the same time. None of that gets spelled out on a payslip, which is probably why so many people earn more and somehow don't feel any better off for it. National insurance gets misunderstood too. People tend to lump it in with income tax, but it isn't really a tax in the same sense. It's a contribution system that determines what you're entitled to later, from your state pension to certain benefits. If you're employed and earning above the primary threshold, you're currently paying 8%. Due to come down slightly. And if you've got self-employed income on the side, you could also be liable for Class 2 and Class 4 contributions on top of what already comes out of your main job. And if you do end up overpaying, it's not as simple as claiming it back on your tax return the way you would with income tax. It's a separate process entirely, one that most people never bother going through, which leaves the overpayment sitting in HMRC's account rather than yours. Pension tax relief is worth repeating even if you've heard it before. Put money into your pension, and the government tops it up by 20% automatically. If you're a higher rate taxpayer earning above £50,270, you're actually entitled to 40% relief, but only the first 20% happens automatically. Claiming the rest means filing a self-assessment return, and a huge number of higher rate taxpayers simply never do it, quietly giving up thousands of pounds a year that HMRC has no obligation to remind them about. One more, and this is probably the easiest to actually claim: marriage allowance. If you're married or in a civil partnership and one partner earns under £12,570, maybe working part-time, maybe on a career break, you can transfer £1,260 of that unused allowance across, saving the higher earner up to £252 a year. On its own, that's modest, but you can backdate the claim up to 4 years, which means there could be over £1,200 sitting unclaimed for couples who've never applied. Applying takes about 5 minutes. Search marriage allowance on gov.uk, and it's all done online. None of this is especially complicated once you know where to look. HMRC just isn't in the business of pointing it out to you. So it's worth actually checking your tax code tonight. Log into your HMRC account, see what it says, and if it isn't 1257L, find out why. Check whether you're owed pension tax relief. Check whether marriage allowance applies to you. And if your income sits anywhere near 6 figures, check whether you've fallen into that 60% band without realizing it. It's your money sitting there either way. Someone just has to go and claim it.